Come take a walk into history at the Gulf Beaches Historical Museum, right across the street from beautiful St. Pete Beach. Here, you too can reminisce about the way things used to be. This year, the museum is celebrating 15 years of being open to the public, and longtime volunteer Jari Mogavero has been here from the beginning.
I like history. I like the people I work with. I love telling other people about the history of where I live. And I just kind of feel almost like it's my museum.
This museum is unlike most history museums that you may have visited. It is run entirely by a small group of local volunteers who dedicate their time here.
This is the Joan Haley room over here.
The museum's volunteer site coordinator, Lance Peterson, feels that all the volunteers should be commended for preserving the history of the Barrier Islands.
The museum is different primarily because we are an all-volunteer museum. Everything you see in this museum is done by our volunteers. We've changed out our exhibits regularly so that if you come back 2 or 3 times a year, you're going to see fresh exhibits. But there is no paid staff here. We are the museum. The people that come in the door are as much a part of our museum as we are.
These volunteers really hold the museum together and show that this is a labor of love. Every day, the volunteers collect and preserve photos, newspaper clippings, and antiquities that date back to the 1500s.
Each volunteer is worth about $19 an hour to the county, but they're priceless for us because without our volunteers, we simply couldn't be here.
But what brings them back day after day? Volunteer Kay Peterson explains.
It's a very peaceful place when we come, and it's very, it just feels very good when you're in here. Also, I think what brings me here a lot too are the people who come in, our visitors. They are so thrilled to be here and so excited about Paso Grill and about St. Pete Beach, but then when they see the museum, they just get really excited about what we've done. So that's always nice to have happen.
The museum's collection has grown over the past years, and its memorabilia ranges from the famous Don Cesar Hotel to the lesser-known Sunshine Schools, the first primary schools along the beaches. The museum has so much history inside, but the building is also a historic landmark. Built in 1917, it served as the first church of Pinellas County's Barrier Islands. Then in 1959, the small church transformed into a cozy little home. Miss Joan Haley lived here until 1989.
Well, this is, of course, the original church on the island. And the lady who owned it left it to the county with the understanding that we would become a museum. We've been a museum for 15 years.
And for 15 years, visitors have been able to see what our Barrier Islands were like in a bygone time. So, come out and reminisce as you take a walk through all the history that the Gulf Beaches Historical Museum has to offer.
That was volunteer reporter Chelsea Lawson. Although much has remained the same since Chelsea's visit in 2008, there have been some changes with the museum and the volunteers. Longtime volunteer Jari Mogavero recently passed away. She hadn't been able to volunteer for a while, but her 17 years of contributions left a lasting impression.
We miss her. She was a big part of our lives for a long time, and that leaves a big hole.
Before Jari's death, the museum staff named a room in her honor for all her years of service.
And it seemed, I'm not even sure which one of us had the idea first, but it seemed to be a good one, and that we'll always remember when we use that room, which we use a lot, that it was for Jari.
The Jari Mogavero room is where volunteers, nicknamed the Backroom Girls, put together and update the museum's collection. It's the heart of the museum and fittingly named after a woman who put so much of her own heart into it. And we'll be right back.